Every year, Easter arrives with a strange combination of traditions. Church services at sunrise, families gathered around a meal, children hunt for brightly colored eggs. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a rabbit. Now, that combination alone is enough to raise an historical eyebrow, because the original Easter story doesn't involve rabbits or eggs or spring festivals. It begins with an execution. Hi, I'm Papa G. After many years in the history classroom, I've learned that some of the most familiar holidays have the most layered stories. To understand it, we have to go back to the 1st century in a Roman province called Judea. Jesus of Nazareth had been traveling, teaching, and gathering followers. His message focused on the kingdom of God, forgiveness, and a radically different version of power. One built not on force, but on sacrificial love. By the time of the Jewish festival of Passover, tensions were high. Passover itself was already a deeply symbolic moment, a remembrance of Israel's deliverance from slavery in Egypt. Within a matter of days, Jesus was arrested, tried, and executed by crucifixion, a Roman method designed not just to kill, but to send a message. Crucifixion was public, painful, and unmistakably final. For his followers, it looked like the end of everything. But very early on the first day of the week, something unexpected happened. The Gospels record that the tomb where Jesus had been placed was found empty. And shortly after, his followers began to claim something even more startling. They'd seen him alive. Now, what everyone believes about those events, historians agree on something important. The early Christian movement was built on a very specific claim. Not just that Jesus had taught something meaningful, but that something had happened. That claim, the resurrection, became the center of what would eventually be called Easter. But over time, as Christianity spread across the Roman world, communities began to develop an annual celebration of the resurrection. And that led to one of the most interesting historical debates. The result was a system that still shapes Easter today. Easter would be celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox, which explains why Easter seems to move around on the calendar every year. Now, as Christianity spread into Europe, something else began to happen. Local cultures had their own ways of marking the arrival of spring. After long winters, spring meant life returning, light increasing, food becoming available again. So over time, some of those seasonal symbols became associated with Easter. Eggs, for example, were a natural symbol of new life. As for the rabbit, that likely comes from later European folklore, where animals associated with fertility and spring were woven into local customs. But underneath all those layers, the core of Easter has remained remarkably consistent. It is centered on a claim that death is not the final word.